We want more money. This is essentially what Battlestate Games, or BSG, developers of Escape from Tarkov, are telling their players after the introduction of their newest edition of the game, and the way that they're screwing over longtime fans is frankly disgusting, and may ultimately lead to their demise. Escape from Tarkov is 8 years old, and still doing pretty well. In 2022, they saw a surge of nearly 900,000 new players to the game, but the promises of their past have caught up to the lies they've told today when unveiling the newest edition of the game, the Unheard Edition. Previously, the most expensive edition of Tarkov was the EOD, or Edge of Darkness edition of the game. It came with a wealth of benefits to Tarkov players who were willing to fork over more money than the typical $50 asking price for the base edition of the game. In the weeks leading up to the unveiling of their newest edition, they put this edition on sale for $112.50, 25% less than what it previously sold at. The edition also included access to Escape from Tarkov Arena, a sort of arena-style offshoot PvP mode, which is more focused on player versus player combat and interaction, and less about the more open-ended gameplay you saw in the traditional Escape from Tarkov gameplay. Most importantly though, the EOD edition of the game was previously sold with the promise that all future DLC for Tarkov would be included. Now $150 for all future content sounds great, except now, that's not true, and it's leaving many feeling betrayed and burned by developer BSG. On April 25th, 2024, BSG unveiled the Unheard Edition, a new edition of Tarkov priced at $250. Yes, you heard that right, $250 for this edition of the game. And the part that's burning bridges amongst the community is that this new edition has content that purchasers of the EOD edition will not get access to, despite promises to the contrary all these years of selling this edition. The Unheard Edition includes access to a new PvE mode that doesn't wipe progress, and allows persistent character progression. And if you were foolish enough to buy the EOD edition and take the promises of BSG at their word, you are now being told to fork over $250 or to simply miss out on this feature. On top of this new PvE access, Unheard Edition owners get some rather unsightly pay-to-win bonuses like more stash space and increased standing with the Fence Trader, where enemy NPCs will aggro to you less with this increased reputation standing with this NPC. What makes this worse though is that after all the outcry from community members and fans today, BSG has doubled down on the semantics of their argument that this new mode is not DLC and is rather a new feature and is not going to be included with the EOD edition they've been selling all these years. And as for the spin-off of Tarkov Arena that was included in the EOD edition previously, it's no longer included. So a new player making a new account today starting from zero would have to spend $250 for this new Unheard Edition and then another $35 for the Arena mode in order to play all of the content Tarkov has today. So what should have been included as a PvE mode in the original EOD edition, which was, leading up to this edition's unveiling, $112.50 over the last month, and would have also included the Escape from Tarkov Arena, is now $285 to get the equivalent content. A 153% increase to play all of the content in Tarkov. And even more, we see BSG attempting to cover up their liability with what they've included in the previous EOD editions in misleading customers by editing out what was previously described as a unique 3x3 container that was a part of the EOD edition originally to just a generic 3x3, since they are now offering this in the new Unheard Edition.
Page earlier. Wayback Machine today. April 25th. Here we go. You're a legend. They removed the word unique secure container. Dude! They fucking removed it? Are you kidding me?
It's clear that BSG is trying to move Edge of Darkness edition bonuses and content access into a new paywall edition to try to squeeze more money out of the Tarkov community and customer base. The mental gymnastics at play here are laughable. Here's the tweet from BSG today, which you can see has already been community noted in their poor attempt at explaining why people who bought the EOD edition aren't entitled to this new PvE mode. PvE mode is a unique feature which is available only for the owners of the Unheard Edition. We will keep you updated on the new feature exclusives for EOD owners. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Sorry for the confusion, guys. Aside from the obvious pay-to-win stuff included in the Unheard Edition, which historically gamers have always despised, the bigger issue is the false promises. BSG had revenues in 2020 of £120 million. In 2022, they had a profit of negative £718,795. And in the fiscal year ending January 2023, which would have encompassed the previous year, 2022's financial results, they managed to turn that number positive to a resounding £1.729 million. The cost of operating Tarkov in 2022 was almost as much as the money they made from the sales of the game. So it's become clear that the starry-eyed and likely good-intentioned promises that began at the release of Tarkov's alphas in 2016 have grown into liabilities for the developers, who are just not able to fulfill them now, as the mathematics behind running this game continue to not make any more sense for them. It's no wonder BSG is attempting to fleece their audience for more money. They are running on fumes. Based on the financials from January 2023, which highlighted the previous year of operation, they owed 15,170,018 British pounds, or 18,969,349 US dollars. The lion's share of this owed amount to creditors or parties who loaned BSG money are Dmitry Lyskotov and Nikita Boyanov, who are owed 4.9 million pounds each. And speaking of promises not being kept in the future, Nikita, speaking to a Russian gaming outlet, igromani.ru, in April of 2022, promised that, quote, "We will never have NFT or pay-to-win donations in our games." It seems that promise has been short-lived for BSG & Co., given what they've included in the Unheard Edition. Now, I can empathize with their situation, and I don't envy the predicament they found themselves in. Tarkov was never a game that was promised to be alive this long, so naturally when they first sought funding, they made lavish promises like lifetime content updates for one singular price. And now that the financials don't make as much sense as they did back 8 years ago, they're scrambling to make up the money. But they've clearly put themselves in an unfortunate position of enraging their fan base, walking back things that they probably shouldn't have promised in the first place. Ultimately, this is a situation that BSG needs to address, and I fear doubling down on it as they have is only going to lead to their demise. $250 is an insane ask for the Ultimate Edition of a game digitally. Even the most outrageous and expensive digital editions of EA games like Battlefield 2042 or the more recent Star Wars Outlaws that's yet to release are only upwards of $130 US. You've surely lost the plot when you're asking players to fork over nearly twice as much money as what EA is willing to ask of customers, in an environment where EA is one of the most egregious publishers in the business. Now, BSG has since responded to the community outcry from the 25th, and early on the morning of the 26th of April, they did respond with a list of things to be included to EOD Edition owners to try to make good despite the controversy. But if you scroll the comments on Reddit, you can see people are still unhappy, and rightfully so, as this doesn't really solve the issue. They do include things like the faster return of insured items, increased personal trading buy limits, unique dog tags, armbands, and clothing, a unique legacy device, which isn't really detailed, and namely, priority matchmaking for EOD owners for 6 months, and 6 months of access to the offline PvE mode. But that's the issue. 6 months of access for people who should have full access for the entirety of it, considering what they were promised when they purchased the EOD edition, isn't the fix that they think it is. I still think BSG needs to grant EOD owners access to this PvE mode, and make good on what they promised them when they first sold these editions for all these years. This is frankly a slap in the face to the people who supported Tarkov from the beginning, who put a lot of faith in them to continue to deliver on the game and iterate on it, so much so that they gave more than what the cost of a premium released AAA game is. And to leave them out in the cold because you want to make more money and you simply can't allow them to gain access to something that you know you need to monetize is just a really bad look. And I think it's really bad form, and shows a real lack of appreciation for the community that's helped build Tarkov into what it is today. The issues with funding are the problem with the management and the publisher to figure out. It's not on the community. If BSG wants to solve this issue, they should be working with the community to find alternative ways to monetize the game, not by trying to remove content and remove access to people who have already been supporting the game for this long. I think other developers should take this as a cautionary tale. Making promises at the beginning of your game's lifecycle can have disastrous consequences later on, should plans change, and plans always change. I'll be watching the situation as it progresses. I hope BSG can thread the needle here with making good on what they promised their customers previously, but it's possible with how the trust has been broken within the Tarkov community that the damage is already done. That's gonna do it for me, guys. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.